edutainment for us. Thank you for another blessed day. It is now Thursday, 13th November 2025. The month is moving so fast. I don't know. So many things not achieved, but the month is running down almost as to Christmas. The holiday seems to be coming to a close so soon. I don't know what you think about this. But welcome. This is Tracy for you on edutainment for us. Thank you for showing up every time as we hold our shows. All right. So there's a lot of things that I'm really doing. I'm just waiting for the achievement of each before I can come out to share with you and maybe do some videos on the developments currently going on. Yeah, and I thank God for everything actually. Because whenever we have a dream and we are almost accomplishing or accomplish it, we appreciate that it's as a result of God for us to achieve what we have to do. So once I'm done with whatever is going on, I'll be sharing with you. But I thank God I came from so far in my projects, and I really don't take everything for granted. But I also appreciate the members who are watching me on my channel all the time on the different videos that I do, some political, some social. Somebody told me that yesterday that YouTube does not like political videos. I don't know. How I wish that many people come on to share with me, especially those who have an experience. But I'll be trying to contact many of my friends who operate on political channels just to see whether this is reality or it's just a mere fear. So welcome. Of course, all of you know that now ODM is attaining the 20 years of, having been formed as a party. Of course, the party came up in which is that? So if currently it's 20 years, that means 205, right? Yeah, so ODM was formed majorly in 205. That I remember after Mwai Kibaki's moment, and then there was this formation just to see whether they could take over power from Mwai Kibaki. So ODM now is attaining 20 years, and we've seen them in a Makadara train heading to Mombasa. I think they booked either from Nairobi or something like that, because I can see a mixture of ODM members from both Nairobi and other ends. MC with Ehama, welcome. Thank you so much for showing up on the platform as the top fan #1. And we are down into our discussions. So let's take on ODM as they travel in the train heading to Mombasa. Of course, they're almost arriving. The arrival time was supposed to be 30 minutes past 3. So they're just 30 minutes away from reaching Mombasa. Purity Elisha, thank you so much for coming in the house. I appreciate your presence. And let's see the Mombasa trip by the ODM members. Here we have Leto taking us through.
Kisha moja kwa moja hadi kaunti ya Mombasa kwa maadhimisho ya miaka 20 ya chama cha chungwa.
MC, I also said hi.
Chama cha chungwa litakuwa linatua katika kaunti ya Mombasa rasmi na kuogelea maji ya matumaini, ambako wenyeji ama wafuasi wa chama hicho wanasema ni siku ama itakuwa wakati wa kusherehekea yale ambacho chama cha chungwa kimeadhimisha kuanzia mwaka wa 2005, ikiwemo katiba mpya, ikiwemo ugatuzi ambapo chama cha ODM kinasema kwamba kimekuwa kikipigania kuwepo kwa katiba mpya tangu mwaka wa 2005. Ikumbuka kwamba chama cha ODM kilibuniwa mwaka wa 2005 wakati wa mchakato wa kutafuta katiba mpya kati ya chungwa na ndizi. Na hapa tuliko ni baadhi tu ya sehemu ya mankuli kwenye treni hii, ambapo wanachungwa wamefika kutoka wawakilishi wa kaunti ya Nairobi, wakilishi wa kaunti mbalimbali, pia wafuasi wa chama hicho wako kwenye treni, sehemu zingine za treni. Lakini nataka nikupeleke tu katika eneo hili. Hawa tu ni wale ambao wanahudumia wenyeji ama wafuasi ambao ama wageni ambao wako hapa. Ukiona hapo ni mbunge and for being the leader of ODM party. So we are going to celebrate and be joyous as we remember him. Asante mbunge mteule, je, matarajio yako ni yapi? Matarajio yangu, wacha ni translate kile ambacho senior wangu amesema, ni ya kwamba tunaenda kusherehekea legacy ya baba yetu, baba ambaye ametukuza katika siasa, amekuza chama cha ODM miaka 20 ya kuwa katika chama hiki. Baba jinsi alivyopenda, tukitoka huko wajue kwamba sisi wana ODM huwa tunafanya.
Raila Amolo Odinga. This is the man who started ODM, and ODM has been with us for 20 years. But ODM is Orange Democratic Movement. It is a movement, and it is a movement created by Raila Amolo Odinga. So as we celebrate the 20 years.
Mbunge wa Suna Mashariki ambaye pia ni mwenyekiti wa kamati andalizi pamoja na mwenyekiti wa kitaifa. Labda tuambie tumefika wapi?
Nafikiri sasa nasikia maeneo ya Voi. Sina hakika lakini nasikia tuko maeneo ya Voi. Tutafika Mombasa saa 9 kasorobo. Na wanasikia watu wanatungoja huko wengi sana katika kituo ya reli Miritini na nasikia ya kwamba kuna furaha na kuna mambolezi zimeshikana.
Tima ya kiongozi
What a break.
wetu Raila Amolo Odinga. So imekuwa ni a very very good ride. Tumepata nafasi ya kukaa na wafuasi wetu na kusikiza hisia zao, their hopes, challenges ambazo wanaona. Tuko hapa kwa train na watu kutoka Turkana, Wasamburu, Wasingishu, Bomet. Tuko na wanachama kutoka Narok, kutoka Kajiado, kutoka Kakamega, Migori, Homa Bay, kila mahali. Na ni kipi kilichochea chama kikaona kisitumie ndege, kitumie kisafiri na treni na wafuasi? Ni nini kiliwachochea kama viongozi wa chama? Ni hii, for this very reason, kwamba tukue na nafasi na wanachama. Mambo yalivyo tunapoelekea katika maadhimisho ya miaka 20 ya chama cha ODM. Kule ni bwana Imwatok ambaye ameongoza kundi kutoka kaunti ya Nairobi, wote wakiwa kwenye treni hii kuelekea kaunti kadha, ikiwemo mikutano ya vijana, mikutano ya wamama na pia.
All right guys, so that was ODM. That was ODM. They decided to use SGR to Mombasa, and of course they are saying that they chose to do that because they wanted to relate with the young citizen. Do you agree with this, or do you think the party is currently lacking finances? Because we heard the other day Oburu Odinga telling us that the party is actually claiming a lot of money from the government. What is your thought? Drop a comment as we proceed into more discussions. And of course, they had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun, even dancing on the train. Look at that. So of course we saw them dancing in the train. right, I'm coming back to again greet my fans. I had done so, but they don't seem to have seen. I said hello, Purity Alicia and MC, hello to you. Welcome everybody as we proceed into our discussion, of course. Knowing that ODM as a party have decided to go celebrate their 20 years of movement in Mombasa. All right. And of course, by now they must have alighted, and we will be updating you on more information in relation to that just within this video. So, of course, we also go into other political situations. Somebody asked a question. Do we have vloggers and YouTubers actually giving information that is truthful, or are they misleading people? That was the question that was posed. I don't know what you think. May we know from you. So let's turn again and look at ODM as we proceed to the next. Purity Alicia says interesting.
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity. Dr. David Costa, leave me alone. All right, guys. One of the most interesting places in Kenya to visit is Mombasa. Actually, I've been in Mombasa. I've lived there. I've also worked around there, and I've also gone there just for a tour. It's a very interesting place. So ODM decided to go to Mombasa. And at the same time, they chose not to use the planes, but to use the train. And they are indicating that the reason why they did that is to reach the, the common mwananchi and listen from them. I hope from whatever they are going to gather from citizens, it should be the best interest of citizens, because of late, around 3 weeks or 4, we have been just seeing some sort of, selfish statements from some people, not all of them, but some people from this party. How I wish I also saw Sifuna here or Babu. I was really waiting to see them being interviewed. I don't know, for whatever reason. So, of course, at Mamangina, also we have the members of ODM, or rather the officials, waiting to receive those who are arriving. So, of course, you saw yesterday Bishop Ongijo and what he said, pointing out the mishaps in government. I don't know what you think about his speech. The only problem I had is that, being a church context, he really politicized a lot of statements. I don't know, for whatever reason. Purity Alicia says, is there any other concerning happening in Mombasa? No. Currently, what is happening in Mombasa is that they are getting ready for the members of ODM that are arriving. So Mamangina Drive has been made ready for the ODM members who are coming from rural and Nairobi. Kule wao wanashinda wakiitwa kutoka bara. So they are waiting for them so that everything kicks officially tomorrow. Today will just be a simple reception, and people go relax as they wait for the event to kick tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll have more information over ODM and what the people will say. They are promising that they don't want to break the party, and they are focused towards celebrating, at the same time mourning the moments that have been happening in ODM. Let's hope for the best, and we hope that, as they have kept telling us, that the main key interest of a Kenyan, common Kenyan currently, is to have the best in their life. And of course, I just listened to one discussion where, we had an individual who thought that maybe if Kenyans keep quiet, it means they are tired or they have had despair. Is that true? Maybe let me know from you. Do you think that Kenyans have despaired already in politics and they don't want to take part in it? And possibly they may not even want to participate in elections 2027. Do you think we have reached that level? To me, I think maybe some people, but not all people, have reached that level. So let's listen to this interview and analyze, because we are here to do political analysis anyways.
happen because they will always protect themselves. Members of parliament. No, it will happen. It will happen. But the question now is, we as citizens, how do we push that agenda? All of us come board and say, guys, you are there because we have donated these responsibilities to you to serve us. And therefore, we will push you to ensure that this article is repealed so that things are done right. Is that the way and direction that all of us should be thinking? Yes. This is what I'm telling you. The role of our generation is to identify as many problems, provide as many solutions, and take as much action. The problem is this article, this amendment that was done in 2014. That is the problem. What is the solution? Repeal it. What is the action? Call your MP and tell your MP we want that section repealed. Do not insult him. Do not do anything. We shall take that petition to Parliament. How many people will be engaged in that space? Because this is the thing. When we look at things like public participation, we look at things like engaging your MP, and I think this is the fundamentals that we need to be looking at. By the time we're saying, Mugai, engage your...
All right. So when we listen to that discussion, it's clearly being communicated that maybe some Kenyans are tired with what is happening in the nation. And when they keep quiet, it means they're tired, they are in despair. Do you agree that in Kenya people are in despair and they don't want to participate in elections or rather talk about it? Does it mean that when we look at some generations, some are really vocal talking about it? Of course, we've heard about Bob and Njagi and Nicholas Oyo after the release from Uganda. They have been talking about what happened to them and thinking that possibly the events that happened around them include what the East Africa is collaborating to do. So my question is, looking at the Constitution, the warning from the Constitution indicates that if people continue to despair, then there may be no election in 2027. I think this is an exaggerated analysis because I don't think Kenyans have reached a level whereby they can reject totally going to elect. I've seen around the country, if you walk around Nairobi, Nyanza, you walk around Western or even Eldoret, people are still talking about elections in 2027. So I don't think the understanding or the message that is given here based on what is being shared, that people have reached that point of despair. If there is any moment people would have despaired in Kenya, it would be after 3 elections. Especially so those who are banking on Raila Odinga, and every time elections were conducted, he would lose. So if there is any moment they would have despaired, it would be maybe 2022. That is the time we could not see people going for elections. But we still saw people going, queuing, taking part in election. And therefore, I don't fully agree with what the guy is saying here in Spice and Brave Kenya TV. Maybe we should look down more into what else he shares and why he thinks so. And maybe you can drop your comment in a comment section as we look into the unraveling aspects. Also, remember yesterday we had Bishop Ongijo, who really seemed to turn a church moment into a lecture moment for the current state, and had even to call the president and Kindiki, the vice president, as, he called them literally shetani, So looking at that, then you want to see whether really people have not given up about politics. Because when I look at this, the clergy, and this year we have had almost four very vocal clergy members. Two of them were from Catholic Church. Now we have seen from the ACK Church of Kisumu, and we have many others who are talking against what is happening in the state and the looting aspect, the shooting, the hooting, all that is happening in the nation. So let's turn and see the interview more as we look into further into what Oyo and Nicholas Oyo and Bob Njagi were sharing after they came from Uganda. Do you believe that there is a collaborative brutality that maybe the state leaders, let's say Suluhu, Museveni, and talk about our own Ruto, do you think they're collaborating into abductions? Because we had an aspect whereby one person was abducted in Kenya, then sent to Ethiopia. We had another situation where a Ugandan was abducted in Kenya, taken back to Uganda. Then we have a situation of abductions that have happened in Tanzania and Uganda. What is your thought? So as we proceed, I may wish to understand your thought. So drop the comment in the comment section as we proceed, and let's view this.
Are appointed from
the CCM.
The CCM MP.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So I want you to listen how it goes. This is Article 5. Article 5.2. Parliament may enact law imposing conditions restricting a citizen from exercising the right to vote. So when I was reading this constitution, something interesting came up. That in this constitution of Tanzania, you can replace the word parliament, national police, president with the word CCM, and it will still make sense.
As I say,
so it's just like saying CCM may enact a law. So this thing that we hear people saying, broad-based, sijui nini, it is taking us this way. Whereby the word parliament may as well be we just say broad-based has allowed, broad-based has allowed. So if we don't push for this constitution to be studied in school, we are going to have a parliament that does not know its role. It's going to be a conveyor.
Are going to have, but what you've said already, Mwigai, that we already have members of the county assembly, members of parliament who are unaware of their role. I remember just a couple of days ago, we had a senator who said, unfortunately, we do things that we don't even know that we shouldn't be doing, or that we do not have the capacity to do, or that it is not enshrined in the constitution that we should do. I don't think we're heading there. I think we're already there.
And that's why I'm saying, that's where the solution and action part comes in.
How are you going to get people, Kenyans, to then be able to say, you know what, we've got to be a little bit more engaged in this than when a member of parliament...
All right, so yesterday during my discussion online, I talked about the problem of us as voters. George Ndegwa, welcome to the board, and thank you so much. You may have also to drop comments based on what we are discussing. So yesterday I shared some political views indicating the problem in Kenya is not mainly leaders. It's also about us, the citizens, maybe us as voters. And clearly I said we have voters who only follow some people, you know, like they don't currently even know who is vying. They don't even know why somebody is vying or what kind of person is going to vie. And therefore, they'll be advised from the grassroots level, vote for so-and-so, and they'll go queue and vote. Then we have those kind of people who are investors in politics. So they don't invest so much. Even if they are given 500 by the end of the period of campaigns, then they vote based on what they have received. I received at least 50 from so and so, sugar from so and so, a blanket or a piece of clothes. So these are we call them investors or entrepreneurs in politics, and these are the worst because now they make the leaders believe they bought the votes. Now we have others who don't care. So they will not even register, they'll not go to vote, and therefore these are carefree, you know. I think this is the level at which the guy is talking about, the fact that Kenyans will reach a time when they'll not care about politics, you know. Whether it is happening, whether it's 1 term, it's okay. 2 term, it's okay. 3 terms, it's okay. Constitutional change, it's okay. So for them, they say, why should I bother? And when you hold maybe even political discussions, for them, they don't want to talk about it. So we have that class. Then we have other politicians, other voters who actually register and they research and they have information about what is going on. So these ones will actually vote based on their knowledge. And sometimes they'll go for the unpopular candidate. They'll have to pick the most unpopular candidate because they think this is the savior. But most Kenyans will not go for the unpopular. They go for the popular candidate maybe because of what they say. Again, there's that group of voters who go for who is saying what. The more charismatic you are, verbal you are, the more persuasive you are. No wonder we had Ruto winning over in 2027. Of course, I've had so many sittings, even the elites, talking about listen to him. Does he even move a crowd? Remember, currently, one of the people who have been dismissed in vocal aspects is Matiang'i. Most people are saying Matiang'i does not know how to speak. So what does it mean there? We have voters who go for the voice, what someone says. And that is why our president has mastered the art of persuasion. Currently, he's going across the Kenya itself. He started at Kakamega, and he started at Central, I think. He came to Kakamega. Now, currently, he is masquerading around Ukambani. And he has gone from Migwani to Mwingi to Kitui, Machakos, promising them more, heaven, and telling them about the other party as being held because they don't have manifestos, they don't have, minds, they don't have ideologies, they don't have a plan. And what is he trying to do? He's revealing some of the things he's done, even halfway, and because no one is ready to challenge, then he goes on now to promise more. Now, if you look at the promises, if I count what he promised when he went to Malava, and he went to Mumias, he also went to Central, I think most of those Mbere sites, and he has not promised more while going to Ukambani. That means a lot of money, trillions, So I'm just wondering, without a budget, where is this money coming from? Yeah. So I want us to get to the discussions or what is happening in Ukambani. I'm so happy that Ukambani, at least we had two people challenging him, one of them being MCA, who reminded him of what he has not done. And of course, he was so much anchored. He asked, don't you know I'm the president? Why are you asking me of this? But then he was making promises. Why should the MCA not remind him of what he said in 2022? So let's get to that, and we can get to see also what Susan, there's another person who said something else. So let's check on this and see his response.
Mwaka wa 2021 ulikuwa mahali kunaitwa Matutu. Siku hiyo uliambia watu wangu, ukichaguliwa na nichaguliwe utawajengea bridge ya Muone. Ukasema at the same time, ukichaguliwa nikichaguliwa watu wangu wote watapata title deed. Ukasema ukichaguliwa wewe ndio unajua mambo ya stima, kila mboma ya hapo Nguu itakuwa na stima. Hiyo stima imeanza lakini inaenda polepole.
All right. So those were the exact aspects. If you check even on online and also check on David Wafula, you'll get to see what the MCA asked him. And the MCA was just doing right, because this is one thing that Kebaso Morara used to do before he was actually cut down. And of course, Ruto had to respond, as he is. He cannot keep quiet. So he had to respond to him. And I'm just checking on what he said, telling him that why should he ask him, Why is he asking him in front of people? So I'm just checking on this response here.
This was Ruto's response.
Lakini sasa wewe MCA, sasa wewe unakuja kunipatia amri kwa mkutano wewe.
All right, so that is what the president said. And do you think the MCA was wrong? Not wrong at all. If we hold them accountable, let's say everywhere he goes, people now ask him, you said this. For example, I wondered, the people of Kakamega actually let us down. When he came to Mumias and is lecturing you about the STAR program, the STAR Nyota program, I was just asking or wondering if one person would emerge, whether young or old, and ask him, what about this Mumias hospital? It's dying. What can he do about it? What about Mumias Sugar Company? We've seen a lot of farmers suffering, I just waited to see that moment when someone would ask. Unfortunately, no one stood. So Ukambani, we thank you so much for standing up to the ground and asking the president about this. Away from that, there was another lady in Ukambani also who challenged the president, asking him how he had not considered the Ukambani people as much. As far as he's talking about what he'll do once he's picked again in 2027, she was there to claim for Ukambani. And I'm telling you, the reality in Kenya is that if you don't do it for yourself, you don't claim the shares, no one will do it for you. So once you see people like Musalia Mudavadi and our own Papa Waroma keeping quiet and just eating for their homes and houses, it's unfortunate because they are not claiming for the rest of the region. And the reality is that as far as they impeached Gachagua on grounds of shares, everybody is going for shares, and the biggest share goes to Uasin Gishu, because when you look at the list of major people in government, CSS, you look at the CEOs of most companies, most of them are coming from Uasin Gishu. You'll find another Ruto there, another Chesang there, another Kiprono there, another Kipruto, and all that. The list goes on. You can go check. Actually, it is on the public platform, and we have seen this for all a very long time. When it comes to hiring even of teachers, nurses, they'll have to consider first that before they go elsewhere. So let's check on another wisdom that was thrown around by a lady of substance here.
Just listening to this.
Hatutaki tu hardware, tunataka software also. Ukiangalia katika employment list, watu wa Makueni tuko chini sana. Hata appointment in parastatus tuko chini president. Kwa hivyo ukitupatia hardware, penda utupatie software. Ile manjina yote imekuja mbunge, naona Munjaluo, Mukikuyu, Mukambani wakata.
All right, again, that was another reality that came out, and it's not a lie. George Ndegwa said hello. I again said hello to you. So it's a reality, and how I wish that our governance, or rather our leaders, would stop this, because it starts even from grassroots. Stop even talking about this tribal aspect. It starts at let's say ethnic groups. I remember there's a time I worked in Taita Taveta, and at one time the governor came from Taveta, the borders. And unfortunately, it came out that he hired people from borders, Taveta, leaving alone the people. There's a lot of Kamba people and the Luos who went to the size of plantations at Mwatate, and they're stuck there. We have a lot of Kambas who are staying around Makogeni and Manoa and all those areas. We also have now the Taita themselves, but it's also unfortunate that when we had a governor called Murutu coming from the borders, he hired the Tuveta people. They were full in a house. Then now there came another one who was coming from Undanyi, that is Samboja. And again, he picked people from the hill, that part of, around Undanyi, leaving alone the rest. Now, currently, we have a different governor. I don't know the situation currently there, but it's unfortunate that whenever a leader gets into office, they only pick friends and close relatives, and they leave alone the rest. And now it happens that for a president, he picks friends whom they were with in high school, friends whom they have been taking tea with, and leaves alone the rest. And of course, talk about it. Yesterday, we had a bishop who also came out to share the grievances. And I'm just looking for that video to show something about it. All right, so there was a bishop who came out and showed how people are celebrating in Luo. But when the reality is that we have the Mutai Kagwe and the rest right there. So I want us to look at that video briefly. Not so much because I already discussed it at length yesterday. That is Bishop Ongiji of SCK Kisumu.
Because when Opio Wanda is made a CS and Badi is made a CS, you are all over how you are enjoying in this government. You know, the irony is people from Mount Kenya have got 6 or 7 cabinet positions. And
all right.
Firmly rooted in government.
All right, so that is the reality. The reality is that so many people celebrate just when they gain. And it's unfortunate that one individual too, when you look at the politics in ODM, for example, the reason why ODM is having fights in-house, it's because some people benefited during the broad-based government. People like Wandai, of course, we had Mbadi, we had the other guy from Mombasa, we have the governor. Then we got to Western, we had the former governor of Kakamega. So the few people were picked, and others who are promised, like Wanga, Gladys Wanga, of course, was really longing for the vice president position or rather the running mate, because we don't know whether they'll be elected for 2027. Therefore, that's why she's really masquerading and supporting big time on what the government is doing. Junet is also there supporting because possibly he thinks that he will have an upper hand. And the other day we saw another guy coming up and really saying that he swears no matter what will happen, he will stick to odium. So all these fights are because of the unbalance, the lack of equity in giving of favors and positions in the government. It's unfortunate, but anyway, the constitutional amendments need to be done, or rather maybe people speaking to their hearts and thinking about what is the best for Kenyans instead of looking at themselves. So Bob Njagi and Oyo gave to reveal very funny information. If it's true, then this is very disheartening for Kenya. And he said that even though he went through a gruesome moment in Uganda in 38 days, he cannot compare Uganda and Kenya. He thinks Kenya is worse. Let's just play the tape a little bit and see what we can gather from here.
A center called Ronyo, that's where we were being held. I hope we can use this information to secure the remaining of the people who are inside, including Nigerian national relations happening in Uganda. And I appeal on this platform to the Ugandan leaders to free all political, including Dr. Kiza Besije, and the Ugandan civilians we left behind. One of them is a brother to the Internal Affairs Minister for Uganda. His own brother was abducted. He was my cellmate. He's called Amos Ruongomano. They are looking for him. They don't know where he is. And the current location, the last location, is a place called Ronyo, a center called Ronyo. That's where we were being held. I hope we can use this information to secure the remaining of the people who are inside, including Nigerian nationals. The Nigerian embassy as well needs to take more concern about their own citizens who are rotting in that Serakasenyi place.
All right, so as Njagi was trying to reveal about those who are arrested in many of the places, including where they were held, remember Nigeria is currently having a very serious war. For those of you who are following closely, Nigeria is trying to assassinate a lot of Christians, and the war that is going on is over resources, of course, with Dangote as a company that came up for fuel and some other resources right there. So there is no way Nigeria would protect anybody, especially if they know you are an activist. I don't know. Njagi has not told us whether the guy who was held was an activist or was randomly picked in Uganda just because he was maybe traveling, the same situation that found some hoteliers in Tanzania recently. And I just want to share this aspect where Njagi said that there's a kind of cooperation between Samia, Ruto, and maybe Museveni in arresting or abducting individuals. So let's listen to this.
Talk to us. Some of them would give you chilling issues. Asked, like somebody was telling me, that as a special forces,
What is happening in Kenya resonating in Uganda, resonating in Tanzania. And that's why we are coming out boldly to speak out against these violations of human rights across East Africa. So far that we are saying on the 9th of December, we shall be joining Tanzanians in the protest to call for justice for all the victims, both who have died in Tanzania, Kenyans and Tanzanians, and to call out this illegitimate government that is coming up now as an elected government. But we all know that the president swore herself in using the military. So this continued and stopped, and we were told that there's somebody coming to talk to you. So we thought he would talk to us, then we continue going with this team of military officers. But yeah.
And you mentioned you had a dinner with the Mr. Mangi.
Yes.
And he explained hunger strike or?
Okay, first and foremost, just because he has mentioned the name of a great man, Right Honorable Prime Minister, 2026. Yes, 2026. And we could see the reality. There was no sign of us getting out. The military has denied they are with us. The police don't know where we are. The judiciary has had a habeas corpus which has been dismissed in court. So all factors lead that to a point that you're not going to be released soon. And then I turned on to prayer and fasting, and that works miracles as well. We are here with you, and I thank God, above all, I thank God for us being here.
So within the interview, of course, I may not get the specific minute, but Njagi shared that in Uganda, while there, they realized that these abductions are starting from Kenya as they move to other countries. According to him, Kenya is the worst in rating in terms of abductions, the missing people, and maybe the torture. Because he said what he went through while in Kenya was worse than the situation in Kampala. Of course, saying that while in Uganda, they could see outside, they could move to external latrines and something like that. But when it comes to Kenya, they were confined in a very dark room for 30-something days. And, they were mistreated. So I don't know whether we have, is there even need to compare? The only thing that is necessary is that humanity has to come handy. When leaders actually feel like they are dynasties, and once they test leadership for 5 years, they don't want to leave. And this happens not just at presidential level. Let us be very truthful about this. It happens even at grassroots. Once an MP goes in for 5 years, they don't want to leave. And all they try to do is to threaten, to make the opponents look like they can do it, to prove and assert that they have done the best. I don't know. A leader should just do their role. And if they think people are seeing, let them people see. But now look at the situation of RUTO, for example, in UKAMBANI. While now proving that he has done it, we have seen 2 people who have come to expose him as having failed, especially in matters equity. When you select a lot of CEOs from your nation, or rather your region, and leave the rest outside, this means you are favoring your region. And I think this is exactly what we can see, the war that began between Gachagua and RUTO. And no wonder he had to be spit out, because he was not saying, yes, sir. Currently, of course, when you look at Kindiki, Kindiki has no say. All he has to do is never write a speech, but reiterate what the president has said. And in fact, yesterday you saw that in Machakos. The entire speech that the president said is what Kindiki repeated. If you listen keenly, I won't play it because I did play yesterday. So he just waited until the president said something, and then he came out and said, yeah, we are saying this and this and this, Or sometimes maybe he reads the same speech the president will say and comes, says the same statements. Yeah, so all he's doing is to play a tune that will not make matters worse in his relationship with the president. What does that mean? Just as we've had on matters of despair, when you realize that maybe the government is not doing anything for you, and however much you will speak or maybe demand, there is nothing that will be done, there comes despair. And then later on, maybe people will be furious, and there might be a situation that is different. I don't like referring to Libya, but of course you know what happened in Libya. When people come to excess despair, the next step becomes the worst situation ever. So, guys, as we look into this, we want to finish with the last story. Of course, we have about 15 minutes, but we may be cutting it short just because we have another live stream coming. And, of course, the situation is happening in Tarkwel. Tarkwel has become a very insecure place, and let's just listen to what is happening right there.
Have left many families displaced. Catherine Muraget reports.
For many years, residents of Turkana County in the northern part of the country have lived under the constant threat of bandit attacks. These attacks are usually carried out by armed raiders from neighboring communities. Since July this year, at least 19 people have lost their lives and more than 700 livestock have been stolen, and 80 cases of banditry within the period have been also reported. Speaking in Tarkwel area after chairing a high-level security meeting with the top security officials from Turkana and West Pokot, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Abdi Hassan said security teams have recovered 297 head of livestock that were stolen in the recent attacks.
This is a very fragile environment. Wananchi hapa wamehangaika,
wameumia kwa sababu miaka na miaka tumekuwa na changamoto ya usalama katika sehemu hii, na tungewaomba viongozi tushirikiane ili tulete usalama na maendeleo.
Efforts by the government, discernment campaigns and community peace dialogues have brought temporarily calm, but deep-rooted issues like poverty, lack of education, and limited state presence continue to fuel the problem.
Of course, guys, if you look at Tarkwel, Tarkwel is one of the places which is very insecure. As you've heard, a lot of banditry attacks have been happening. It's not just today. So we have almost 700 livestock stolen, 19 people killed currently. And the problem did not start today. Sometimes they get to, twist the narrative and say that maybe we have political, political kind of intervention. I don't know whether this can be true, and what would be the benefit of political leaders actually triggering theft of cows and such many other matters. And of course, leaving away that we have Khalwale, who is actually very furious about the 680 billion gold that is found in Kenya. But now it happens that Kenya wants to sell it to a US company. Of course, you heard that from Senator Nyonka. These are things that come out and people whistleblow, but they just end up in nothingness. So you remember the time that we had a discussion over Adani? Of course, it was a very serious discussion. And, at some point, people just took it like it's a passing wind or a passing glance. But when it erupted, it really happened to be a very serious, deal. Now, I think 3 days ago or 4, Senator Onyonga was interviewed, and he came out clearly to say that it's unfortunate that Kenya wants to sell, or rather lease, the kind of minerals that have been found, rare minerals, of course. As I've told you, I've been almost in Taita Taveta for the longest time possible. So I know that those Kishushe mining grounds, we have also Makongeni mining grounds and many others. And we've seen that those mining grounds have been helping some of the Kenyans, though now the natives suffer a lot, especially when you don't have money. But I saw that we had this MP, Andrew, who is currently, I think, the governor. So he now came out to create some, some personal kind of organization to mine those kind of minerals. But now that Kenya has pushed the minerals to the national government, it happens that they want to control those mines, and their plan is to sell the mines to some US-based company. And once they sell that, and it was underquoted, of course, from what I can see, the fact that Khalwale was whistleblowing indicating it is 680 billion, level. But there is something else that I also want to understand. There was this gold that was found in Kakamega. I don't know if Khalwale is talking about that, because I've not gone deep into that. Maybe if there a story, it will be another story for another moment. But it's so unfortunate whatever happens here. So let us end our discussion again with ODM currently, because it's one of the booming stories. Let's check on ODM and see what is happening, because by now they should have disembarked. Kidogo tu kama tano.
Asante sana. Awali niliwaambia kwamba tuko hapa Mama Ngina Waterfront, ambapo shughuli itafanyika siku ya Jumamosi. Shughuli ambayo ni ya kuadhimisha miaka 20 ya chama cha ODM. ODM oye! ODM we! ODM wa! ODM 20 tuko tayari. ODM 20 asante sana. Niko hapa na DPL wetu ambaye ndiye host governor wa shughuli hii kubwa, ambaye Abdulsamad Sharif Nasir atakuwa anazungumza nasi kwa kifupi kuhusiana na shughuli hii kubwa na mipango ambayo imewekwa. Vile vile niko na Mama County, Mama Zamzam ambaye yuko hapa vile vile kwa shughuli hii ya ODM 20 atazungumza nasi.
Yeah, so of course you know so much about ODM and the fact that they chose Mombasa as a destination, you understand that Mombasa is one of the best places, a holiday kind of, and I hope that they are not just going to be found on beaches celebrating, but they have the serious plan as a party, because that is one party that we have seen after the fall of Raila Odinga and even before. There were divided views and we don't know how far they'll go, because while some say Baba told us this, others say this is what I'll go by. Wandai swears I'll die with the broad-based government. Junet says I'll not leave broad-based government. Wanga says we cannot be in the cold forever, we must be in the government. And now we have seen RUTO, of course, swearing that he will not let ODM separate, and he's not going to let ODM be out of government. He also went to Ukambani. He is swearing that he will not allow Ukambani to be out of government. So what are we seeing? Let's wait. But I wish to have your comments coming in relation to this discussion as we wait for another discussion that will be forthcoming maybe in the next 20 minutes, because I need to rest a bit. Then I'll come with other matters on Tanzania. We have some sort of information from Uganda, and also I've seen something about UK and more maybe from Kenya. So if you have watched my video, if you came maybe late and you'd wish to know what we discussed early or the analysis we did, you can go and start checking from minute 1, and I'll really appreciate. I also thank you so much for always coming handy whenever we have a live stream, and also dropping comments and keeping the videos alive. I don't know what to actually say or pay you, but I just have to appreciate and also wish you well in your endeavors. May God bless you in whatever you are doing. Thank you as we keep ourselves updated, informed, as well as entertained about what is going around the globe. Let's hope for the best. Bye-bye for now.